Hello and welcome to another question and answer session brought to you by Path of the Just Ministry. This is video number 3 as we continue with the 2520. One of the main questions that people have is the rejection of Elder James White concerning the 2520. And because Sister White did not rebuke him, they believe that he must have been inspired or that God gave him the authority to give up this heavenly truth. And so we've already dealt with the silence of Mrs. White and even how sometimes in the Bible God will allow prophets to become silent when God's people are in a rebellious or disobedient spiritual condition. Now, I want you to understand as well that Elder James White, along with the rest of the other Millerites, used to actually believe in the 2520. You can actually find it in the writings of Elder James White. And so most people do not investigate and see why he actually ended up giving it up or rejecting it as not being any time prophecy at all, when before 1840s and as well as even up to the late 1850s, he still actually taught and embraced it as Bible truth. And so I want you to notice that when we look at James White's article about the 7 times of Leviticus 26, that we can see that there was something actually going on in this history that led up to him writing this, that lets us know that there was a controversy, that there was a debate, that there was a shaking going on over the 2520 among Bible expositors. I want you to notice the beginning paragraph and also the ending paragraph of Elder James White's article on why he no longer believed that the 2520 was a valid time prophecy. The prophetic period of Leviticus 26, or what has been supposed to be such, has been no small object of study among prophetical expositors. It has been supposed that the expression 7 times in verses 18, 21, 24, and 28 denoted a prophetic period of 25-20 years, and that this period covered the time during which the throne of Israel should be and remain subverted, trodden down by oppressing powers. To rightly find the commencement and termination of this period became therefore a matter of consequence. Where does it commence and where does it end have been questions of much study and perhaps some perplexity. So he was very familiar with Leviticus chapter 26 and what the subject of the 2520 was all about, concerning Israel being subverted among the Gentile nations and also trodden underfoot. But now the question is, okay, well, when does this begin and also when does it end? And you can see that this was a question of much study and also perplexity, perhaps some confusion and some doubt that was taking place during the 1860s and even what led up to the 1860s, even in the late 1850s. Now notice what he says here. Now this is the very last portion of this article. So then there is no prophetic period in Leviticus 26, and those who imagine that such a thing exists and are puzzling themselves over the adjustment of its several dates are simply beating the air. Now I want you to notice that with the 2520, there were individuals who began to start readjusting the time prophecies, the several dates that we find on the 1843 and 1850 chart. So there was something that was going on in this history in the 1850s where many people were trying to find new starting dates for the time prophecies, which were the foundations of the Second Advent movement. Now, in the 1850s, specifically 1854, there was what was called an 1854 time prophecy movement, where they had actually reinterpreted the 2300 days. They found a new starting point instead of 457 BC because they embraced the new view of the daily, or the old Protestant view of the daily, concerning Christ's sanctuary ministry. And so no matter what starting point you choose, if it's not 457, then it's going to automatically invalidate 1844, which was the central pillar and foundation of the Advent faith. Now, in Testimonies to the Church, Volume 1, starting on page 409, notice what Sister White has to say about this. She says here, the fanaticism which raged in years past has left its desolating effects in the East. I saw that God tested his people upon time in 1844, but that no time which has since been set has borne the special marks of his hand. He has not tested his people upon any particular time since 1844. We have been and still are in the patient waiting time. Considerable excitement was created by the 1854 time, and many have settled it that that movement was in the order of God because it was quite extensive, and some were apparently converted by it. But such conclusions are not necessary. There was much preached in connection with the time in 1854 that was reasonable and right. Some who were honest took truth and error together and sacrificed much of what they possessed to carry out the error. And after their disappointment, they gave up both truth and error and are now where it is very difficult for the truth to reach them. Some who endured the disappointment have seen the evidences of present truth and have embraced the third angel's message and are striving to carry it out in their lives. But where there is one who has been benefited by believing the 1854 time, there are 10 who have been injured by it. And many of these are placed where they will not be convinced of the truth, though it be presented before them ever so clearly. Continuing, the proclamation of the 1854 time was attended with a spirit which was not of God. It was noisy, rough, careless, excitable spirit. Noise was considered by many the essential of true religion, and there was a tendency to bring all down upon a low level. Many regarded this as humility, but when opposed in their peculiar views, they would become excited in a moment, manifest an overbearing spirit, and accuse those who did not agree with them of being proud and of resisting the truth and the power of God. The only remedy for the East is thorough discipline and organization. A spirit of fanaticism has ruled a certain class of Sabbath keepers there. They have sipped but lightly at the fountain of truth and are unacquainted with the spirit of the message of the third angel. Nothing can be done for this class until their fanatical views are corrected. Some who were in the 1854 movement have brought along with them erroneous views such as the non-resurrection of the wicked and the future age, and they are seeking to unite these views and their past experience with the message of the third angel. They cannot do this. There is no concord between Christ and Belial. The non-resurrection of the wicked and their peculiar views of the age to come are gross errors which Satan has worked in among the last day heresies to serve his own purpose to ruin souls. These errors can have no harmony with the message of the heavenly origin. Some of these persons have exercises which they call gifts and say that the Lord has placed them in the church. They have an unmeaning gibberish, which they call the unknown tongue, which is unknown not only by man, but the Lord in all heaven. Such gifts are manufactured by men and women aided by the great deceiver. Fanaticism, false excitement, false talking in tongues, and noisy exercises have been considered gifts which God has placed in the church. Some have been deceived here. The fruits of all this have not been good. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Fanaticism and noise have been considered special evidences of faith. Some are not satisfied with a meeting unless they have a powerful and happy time. They work for this and get up an excitement of feeling, but the influence of such meetings is not beneficial. When the happy flight of feeling is gone, they sink lower than before the meeting because their happiness did not come from the right source. So this is pages 409 to 412, and I want to finish this last paragraph. Another arises, claiming to be led of God, and advocates the heresy of the non-resurrection of the wicked, which is one of Satan's great masterpieces of error. Another cherishes erroneous views in regard to the future age. Another zealously urges the American costume. They all want full religious liberty, and each act independent of others, and yet they claim that God is especially at work among them. Now that's page 418 of Testimonies of the Church, Volume 1. So with the 1854 time movement, we have a new starting point for the 2300 days. And as a result, we have the non-resurrection of the wicked being promoted. We also have the age to come, false speaking in tongues, and also the American costume, which according to Deuteronomy 22:5 is an abomination, where a woman wears that which pertains to a man and a man wears that which pertains to a woman. So all of this fanaticism, noise, false excitement started to come in when they reinterpreted the 2300-day prophecy. We're going to pause right here, and we're going to take up the rest of this answer in video number 4. We do hope that this has been a blessing to you. And as always, may your eyes be enlightened as you've tasted a little of this honey.